course, not the Fed. Sure, they're independent bankers. They're not part of the government. But I don't think they're fat cats. Do you? Well, I don't know, because we don't know who they are, even though they just made the largest profit of anyone in the history of the world this year. Isn't that great? Anyway, back to the fat cat bankers, not the Fed. Obama is taking aim at the bankers in an attempt now to levy a windfall profits tax on the nation's 20 to 30 banks to cover about $120 billion in TARP losses. Get this. President Obama wants the windfall profits tax assessed on the nation's top 20 to 30 banks to cover the $120 billion in projected TARP losses, the cost largely incurred by bailing out the insurer AIG and then bailing out the automakers and bad borrowers. Why are the banks going to be the ones bailing out the automakers? I mean, shouldn't that be maybe the unions? If that didn't go well, why don't we find the unions? Here's an idea. Why don't we have Chris Dodd and Barney Frank and all those people in Washington that wanted to bail it out when Americans said absolutely not? Were the banks leading that parade? When the average schlub hears that the banks are going to get fined, they cheer. And they say, yeah, those fat cats, they're so fat. Well, when there's a windfall profits tax, and we said this on Exxon, who does the tax actually fall on? You. Because that's what happens when you, what was it that George Bush said?
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
Yeah, that's it. Abandon the free market to fix the free market. Well, that would assume, if you bought into that philosophy, which is bunk, that would assume that at some point, if you abandon it to fix it, you would return to a free market. Right? Right. It's not the banker that's going to get hurt here, because we're not going back to the free market system. And let me show you. If you're going to abandon the free market to fix the free market, well, here's what you have to do. First, you have to find the sick banks, right? We said, which banks are sick? Quick, let's get money. We're going to abandon the free market, and we're going to give them money. We'll bail them out. That's step number 2. Step number 3, help make them healthy. Let's do everything we can. Let's put the new structure in. Let's get rid of the bad guys. Whatever it is, let's make them healthy. Then get out of the way, right? Abandon the free market system to free the free market system. Find the 6 banks. Bail them out, help make them healthy, and then get out of the way. Let the free market get back in there. That is what, I don't buy into this system, but that's what George Bush bought into. Got it? Obama's added a 5th step here. Find them. Otherwise known as tax them. Hang on just a second. If you tax them, how's that going to work out for the bank? Let me show you. Here you are, here's your bank, here's the government. Let's say you're going to Bank of America, you're doing your banking here. Well, the government is going to send in the IRS, and they're going to assess a new tax on the Bank of America. Well, that tax is going to be passed on to you in the form of a new fee. Here's Glenn's bank. He's not one of the 30 banks, okay? There's no fee. There's no tax. Which bank are you going to do business with? You might have wrote out the storm with Bank of America because you thought, hey, they're going to make it healthy and then get out of the way. Well, no. Now they're putting a fee in here. Are you going to ride this storm out? Are you going to stay with a fee? Or are you going to go to the bank that doesn't have a fee? Well, then that causes another problem, because the cycle then goes back to the top. Find the sick banks, because the banks become sick again. It's a cycle that never ends, unless you do this. Unless when they see this cycle that you're going to make Bank of America sick, what they do is they send the IRS down to this, and they start to tax Glenn's bank and pass the fee on to you. One way or another, you lose, and no one wins. Yesterday, I showed you a national survey by the American Revolution Center. They measured the knowledge Americans have about the American Revolution. The results, not so good. They explained, quote, 83% failed a basic test on knowledge of the American Revolution. I mean, most people couldn't even tell you if the Civil War happened before or after the Revolution. I ain't kidding you. It was insane. I spoke to Pat Caddell about this last night, and he made this statement.
In that same survey, they found overwhelmingly that the concepts of freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, those basic elements people held to very strongly. They believe it was the core. They knew what we the people are. They knew what the idea of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness was.
Okay. In my head, I'm thinking, Pat sees a glass half full. I see a glass half empty. You decide, because I wrote this down as I was talking to Pat yesterday. As soon as we did, I wrote this down. You have to see this survey yourself. Here are the rights. The question is, do you find these rights to be imperative? Are they important? These rights: fair trial, religion, privacy, to speak freely, to practice no religion if you want, assemble, to not have your stuff searched or taken, or to own firearms. Is that important but not essential? Is it essential? Is it not really important at all? Well, I'm going to show you these results and compare them from 10 years ago, and I guess that's where some of the good news is. The First Amendment and the media and the court of public opinion. Here are the results. You ready? Essential rights. A right to a fair trial. Is it essential, important but not essential, not that important? 84% say it's essential. I'm sorry, but I see that as a glass half empty. How is this not 100%? A right to a fair trial? I don't understand 15% of the population. This one has gone down, if you'll notice, 84% compared to 10 years ago. Here's the right to practice the religion of your choice. It's why we came here. 80%. 18, important but not essential, and 2%. You're about to lose some of these rights. The right to privacy. Right to privacy, this one is kind of tough because, I mean, how much privacy are we talking about? I can actually see myself going, well, I don't know, how much privacy? 76%, down from 78%. 24% say, nah, it's not essential or not really that important at all. How about the right to speak freely about whatever you want? The right to speak freely. 70%? America, I don't even think I know you. Only 70% and 30% saying, nah, it's not that important. The right to speak freely? How about this one? The right to practice no religion. I contend that no religion is a religion. It's a set of ideas that there is no God and you live your life based on that. It is a religion. The right to practice no religion should be 100%, just like the right to practice religion should be 100%. Try this on. On the year that we've got the Tea Party movement, the right to assemble, march, protest, or petition the government, 65% don't think this is it. This is it. You got 35% that say, nah, we don't have a right to ask the questions of the government. The right to not have your property searched or seized, 59%. They can just take it. The right to own firearms, 45%. Let me ask you something, America. Things go wrong. A tyrant is in your life. A killer is in your neighborhood. How do you protect yourself? You may not want to own a gun. You have a right to own a gun. But you don't have to own a gun. How much do... Let me ask you this. Germany, Russia, all of the places where there have been dictators, what's the first right they get rid of? This one. Why do you think that is? Because the people can't fight back. For all of these rights, it doesn't matter what the number is. If it's not 100%, it's how do you do it? These are your rights as Americans. These are the rights that they said, you must protect these rights. We must never allow our government to push past these. Who doesn't think a fair trial is an essential right? Religion, privacy, freedom of speech, to protest the government, the right to own firearms. These are the rights that are the foundation of our country. Learn them and live them. A special surprise involving Sarah Palin. Next. I mean, Bill O'Reilly's the king. Of course he has Sarah Palin on first. But tomorrow, a special hour of the Glenn Beck program, a full hour with former Governor Sarah Palin. The questions and the topics, I haven't seen anybody in the mainstream media really talk to her about, or at least in a way that I think she'd feel comfortable talking about. Faith, hope, and charity. Where's it all come from? What's it mean? I'll talk about really everything that I've wanted to ask her in person, one-on-one, including her bizarre infatuation with me. I mean, honestly, Sarah, it's starting to be it's a little embarrassing. I mean, for her, really, it is. But I'm just... If she doesn't come to her senses and realize this isn't a good idea at all, she'll be here tomorrow for the full hour, an interview you don't want to miss. From New York, good night, America.